You've got your theme, you've done the work, and it sounds good. But here's the question nobody asks. Will it still sound good when the defense is cross-examining your client? When the judge sustains an objection in the middle of your opening? When a juror is staring at you and you can tell they're just not buying it? Most themes don't, and most lawyers don't find out until it's too late. So how can you battle test your theme before you get into the courtroom? There are 4 questions that will tell you right now whether your theme is ready. Let me show you. I'm a trial lawyer with over 20 years of litigation experience and more than 40 plaintiff personal injury cases tried to verdict. And I've watched good lawyers take bad themes into trial and get crushed. Themes that sounded great in the office, themes that felt powerful when they wrote them down. The problem isn't that these lawyers are bad at finding themes. The problem is that they never tested them. They trusted their gut, and their gut was wrong. So today I'm going to show you the 4 questions I run every theme through before I take it anywhere near a courtroom, what a theme that passes all 4 looks like next to one who doesn't, the scoring system I use, and exactly what to do when your theme fails. Stick around to the end because I'll tell you the 1 question out of the 4 that kills more themes than the other 3 combined. But before we get into the questions, I know some of you are wondering, when do I actually run this test? After discovery, before opening, the night before trial? Here's the answer. Run it early and run it often. The first time you have a working theme, even a rough one, test it. If it passes, keep building your case around it through discovery. If it fails, you caught it early enough to fix it. I test my theme at least 3 times during a case, but usually many more. Once when I first develop it, once after the depositions, and once right before trial when I have all the facts. Going through this test takes about 5 minutes. Fixing a broken theme at trial takes a miracle. So what are these 4 questions? Let's start with the first 2 and I'll show you why they work together. First question, is it simple? Here's how I test this. I ask, could a juror repeat my theme to another juror during deliberation in their own words and get it right? Not close, not sort of, but dead on right, because that's exactly what has to happen. You're not in the deliberation room. Your theme has to survive without you. Let me give you 2 themes for the same case. Rear-end collision, distracted driver, herniated disc, like standard stuff. Theme A, the defendant's failure to maintain an appropriate lookout while operating his vehicle in a negligent manner resulted in catastrophic and life-altering injuries to the plaintiff. Now let's take a look at theme B. He chose his phone over the road and she is paying for it. Which one do you think a juror can repeat in deliberation and get it right? The test is 15 words or less, 8th grade reading level. If a 12-year-old can't understand it, neither can a stressed out, tired juror on day 3. Second question, is it universal? This one is about values, not facts. Your theme has to connect to something every juror already believes before they hear a single fact in your case. You don't look at your phone while driving, universal. Every juror believes that. The defendant violated section 316.305 of the Florida Motor Vehicle Code. That's not universal. Nobody cares what that code says. But here's where lawyers get tripped up. They write a theme that's true to their case, but doesn't connect to a broader principle. For example, he was going 47 in a 35. Okay, that's a fact. It's not a universal principle. Try this instead. He thought the speed limit didn't apply to him. Now that's a universal principle because every juror knows someone or can envision someone who drives like the rules are for other people and not them. The test here is to strip out your client's name, the defendant's name, and every specific fact. Does the principle still resonate? If it does, then it's universal. If it only makes sense with your specific facts, it's not a theme, it's like a case summary. If you want a complete system for building and testing your theme inside your opening statement, then check out my opening statement course. The link is in the description. All right, so your theme is simple and universal, but that's only half the test. Here's where most themes that sound great actually fall apart. Third question, is it repeatable? Your theme can't be a one-time line. It has to work in opening, during testimony, and in closing without sounding like you're reading from a script. Here's what I mean. Let's say your theme is, he rushed and someone else paid the price. You can use that in different places. In opening, there's a case about a man who rushed and someone else paid the price. That's pretty straightforward. Opening's the easy one. But what about during cross of the defendant? You were running late that day, weren't you? You made a decision to rush that day, right? How about through your client's testimony? Okay, tell the jury what changed after the crash. What are you still paying for? And again in closing, he rushed, she's still paying for that choice. That's what this case comes down to. Same theme, 4 different moments of trial, and it fits every time. You can adapt it. Now try that with a theme like the defendant negligently failed to yield to the right-of-way at the intersection of Oak and Main on March 14th. Doesn't work. You can't repeat that in closing without putting the jury to sleep. And that's because it's not a theme, it's a legal conclusion stapled to a date and an address. So the test here is, can you say your theme in opening, build your testimony around it, and bring it home in closing, all without changing the core idea? If you can, then it's repeatable. Now, I want to tell you briefly how this worked tremendously for one of my favorite clients. He was a 61-year-old gentleman. He had a prior injury to the same area, his lower back, and even had a subsequent accident as well. The defendant rear-ended him at a red light while looking down at his phone. His injury was a herniated disc and he received 1 epidural injection for treatment. That's it. A pretty light case by most standards. But our ace in the hole was that he had worked his whole life for child care services, helping disadvantaged and orphaned children get to places they needed to go, like doctor's visits, after-school activities, or anything else they needed. He literally spent his entire life caring for children that had been abandoned, and this injury caused him to retire a few years early. He had some retirement funds and 401k and all that, so his real lost wages amounted to maybe $75,000. And that's really all he wanted to settle the case, but the defense rejected it. Our theme in this case, the defendant chose his phone over the road and prematurely cut short a lifetime of service to the community. Of course, it played great in opening, that's where it's kind of easy. Did well in questioning and closing, but the real success was when my client was being cross-examined by the defense counsel. Defense thought he had a gotcha question when he asked my client, "But no doctor ever told you to retire early, did they?" Now, my client knew what the theme of the case was. We had covered it, and he knew that if he ever didn't know how to answer a question, just bring it back to the theme. And this guy came up with what might be my favorite ever plaintiff's response on cross-examination. He said, "Counselor, I spent a lot of my time caring for babies and carrying them to their doctor visits. I can't trust my back not to give out after this collision. I never want to put one of these babies in jeopardy, so I didn't need a doctor to tell me it was time to retire." After that, defense counsel sat down, shell-shocked, and my client, who only had 1 injection and was looking for a little extra money to make up for retiring early, got a verdict for $350,000 a few days later. All because we had a great theme to fall back on when he wasn't sure how to answer a question. Let's move on to question 4. Does it fit the facts? This is the question that kills a lot of themes, and probably more than all the other 3 combined. And it's the one that lawyers check last, if they check it at all. Here's the trap. You find a theme that's simple, universal, repeatable. It sounds great, you're excited about it, but it doesn't quite match what actually happened. Let me give you an example. Slip and fall case. Customer slips on a wet floor in a grocery store. You come up with a theme, they put profits over people. Sounds great, right? I love that one. That's one of my favorites. It sounds powerful, it passes the first 3 questions, but here's the problem. The wet floor was from a leaky refrigerator that broke an hour before the fall actually happened. The store had already called a repair company. The manager had placed a cone out nearby, but not a full barrier. Now, is this really profits over people? They actually made the call to repair it. Or is this they knew about a danger and didn't do enough to protect customers? If your theme is profits over people and the defense shows the jury that the store called a repair company, your theme just collapsed because the jury is thinking, well, they did try to fix it. They weren't choosing profits over people. But your theme, calling isn't enough. You have to actually protect people. Now that fits. They knew. They made a call, but they didn't block the aisle or take further steps. They didn't warn every customer. They did the bare minimum. You might think that that theme isn't as powerful as the profits over people one. And in a vacuum, you'd be right. But it fits the facts. And a theme that doesn't fit the facts, no matter how powerful it sounds, is completely useless. So the test here is, could the defense present their best facts and your theme still hold true? If your theme requires the jury to ignore some evidence that they're going to hear, then it doesn't quite fit. Okay, so now you've got the 4 questions, but what do you do with the answers? Here's the scoring system. If you have 4 out of 4, go. Your theme is simple, universal, repeatable, and it fits the facts. Take it to trial. Build everything around it. But make sure as you go through discovery, it continues to satisfy those 4 questions, because new facts can throw a monkey wrench in things, especially that question number 4. Now, if you have 3 out of 4, refine it a little bit. One question is weak, you're close. Find out which question that is and fix it. Most of the time, the weak link is question number 4, fitting the facts. Your theme sounds great, but it's slightly forced. Don't abandon it, adjust the framing until it matches what actually happened. Now, if you have 2 out of 4 or less, start over. It's hard to hear sometimes, but it's better to hear it now than from the jury foreman when they read the verdict against you. Your theme only passes 2 questions. The problem isn't the wording. The problem is the concept. You need to go back to the beginning and find a different angle. Let me show you what this looks like with a real example. Let's take a trucking case. Company driver rear ends a sedan on the highway. The driver had been on the road for 11 hours. The company's electronic logs show they were pushing the limit, but not quite breaking it. Let's take a theme: big trucking companies think they're above the law. Let's score that out. Is it simple? Yes, anyone can understand it. Universal? Sort of, but it sounds more like a kind of a political talking point, not human truth. Repeatable? It's hard to weave above the law into testimony without sounding like you're making a speech. Does it fit the facts? Well, the company wasn't actually breaking the law. 11 hours is within the legal limits. They were pushing the limit, not exceeding it. So you got 1.5 out of 4, maybe. So start over. Let's try another one. They were tired, they knew it, they kept driving. Simple? Yes. 10 words. Universal? Yes. Every juror has probably driven a little bit tired and knows you're not supposed to do that. Is it repeatable? Absolutely. Tired, they knew it, and kept driving. That can echo through every phase of the trial. Does it fit the facts? 11 hours behind the wheel. Logs confirm it. The driver's own testimony would show fatigue. You got a 4 out of 4. Go with this theme. Do you see the difference? Same case, same facts. One theme kind of crumbles under the test, and the other one holds up. Now you've got the test. 4 questions, a scoring system. You can evaluate any theme in 5 minutes. Here's the thing. If your theme scored poorly, the scoring system alone can't fix it for you. You need to go back to the beginning and find a better theme. And the fastest way to do that is the one question that cuts straight to your theme every time. Because the 4-point test only works if you actually have a good theme to test. And if you want to find out how to get there, you need to watch this video next.